Hello everyone, we're back. We're going to get going on this part 2. Part 1, we obviously cut this out. Part 2, we're going to show you how this thing stitches together. So, and how this thing is made. I had some stencils that I used to go off of. That I had some let me see, that I had some distances. It's been a little while since I've made one of these, but we'll go ahead and see if I can get this done anyway, okay? So we'll go ahead and move these things out of the way here that I don't need. Let's go ahead and let's get our iPhone connected to some power here. Make sure we get a little power in there. All right, so this is gonna set up in this area somewhere like this, okay? So just a peek of that, and I think that sets it at 170, nope, 161, 162. I think maybe that set at 162. Yeah, it's gonna come down a little bit, like this far. So 164. There you go. That's more like it. Okay, so 164. So 164. We're gonna put 164 right here on our. Let me find my pen. Here we go. 164 right here on our. Take our pen. Make a little mark here. .164 on this side. Make a little mark here. And then as we connect these two marks together, lightly draw that in. We will eventually not see that, and then that will set right here like so, right on top of that mark. All right. So in the meantime, I'll have to get some scrap paper here. It's always a good idea to keep scrap paper. Like when you're printing something and it doesn't print correct, and you have the urge to want to wad it up and throw it away. I would say, don't do that. Get you a little file folder and mark on it. Mark on it, used paper, and then what you do is when you need some used paper, because you want to do something with gluing or something, like that, you'll have some used paper. And so let's go ahead and pull this out here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So get you some newspaper, put it up here. And the reason we do that is because we could be making a mess. We don't want to make a mess all over our table. Yeah, so we'll break out the glue. And then we'll want to start here on that line. And just kind of give it a little brush. Try not to go over that line. Stay on this side of that line. Just give it a little brush. Right? Go ahead and coat that decent coating, but fairly light. Nothing crazy. Yeah, something like that. There we go. And then we'll do the same thing with this piece. This piece will be our, usually start in the middle on this, work my way out. Something like that. And let it dry a little bit. So we'll just set that aside and let that dry. Okay. We can't do anything with this piece because it goes on the back side of this. So until that gets installed, there's nothing we can do with that. But what we can do is we can go ahead and get our other side marked up here. And I'll show you how we'll do that. So with this side here, this will sit here. This piece will sit here on the end, and this point usually will go right there at the very corner. It's going to come down like so. Okay. And so what we're going to want to do is take our scratch awl, go up under our leather, and come just inside, about right here. Okay. And put a mark on the inside of that leather. Okay. And so we know there's our mark. We take our dividers, wing dividers, and go from that mark, come all the way down, about 4 millimeters in, come across and up. Okay. The good thing is too, is what they'll teach you, at least my mentors always told me, is when you take your wing dividers, don't take them all the way to the end. Don't get in the practice or habit of that. And don't take them all to the end here. Because sometimes you may have a transition point there. And if something curves down or whatever, you may see that line. And so always get in the habit of stopping short, about 4-ish millimeters, 5-ish millimeters short of the very end. And same thing coming this way. That way this line will never be seen for sure. Same way with when you mark it. That's why, you know, this thing is this thick, but you see I marked it on this side, just this side of that line, so that when it's put up over there, you won't see the glue. And so it's always good to, you know, not go to the very, very end with your glue and your, because the glue is just there to hold your two pieces together until your stitching is in. And so it's not necessary that, you know, you're not trying to glue some steel to your car or something. You're just really just trying to get it to hold temporarily. Because technically after the piece is stitched, that's what's going to hold it. And when you take your bone folder in there and break your glue loose, 9 times out of 10, you're going to break some of the glue or adhesive, contact cement, whatever you want to use, whatever you decide to use, because they make different things. They make an adhesive, they make contact cement, they make a leather bond, all kinds of different adhesives. And so, you know, you just kind of get in the habit of saying leather glue. But it could be, that's why I try to say adhesives, because it could be in multiple sets of things. So, anyway, I digress. Let's go ahead and get back to this here. Let me, my YouTube video is done here. So I'm going to go ahead and do a couple things there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take our glue. And our glue is seemingly getting a little thick. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is thinning this out by putting a little more glue in here. Or adhesive, contact cement, whatever you want to call it. And you can use, you know, this stuff here does have a little toxic smell to it. Some people don't like to use it. I do have some other stuff that does not have a toxic smell to it. And it's this stuff right here. It's called Leather Adhesive. It's by Siowa Leathercraft. It's really good stuff, and I generally will use this. And sometimes I'll use it if I'm spreading a big area like this here, because especially if you're not stitching an area like this here, you do want it to kind of hold, and so that stuff's really pretty good, and it's not toxic, so you don't get the toxic smell. With this stuff here, you got to raise your window, or at least you should. In the winter time, it gets a little chilly when you're doing your leather crafting. It's 2 to 3 degrees below zero, and you've got to take your window and open it up, because you got some smells in there, you know. So we're waiting for this to dry now. So let's put this up here. And while we're waiting for this to dry. The next thing we'll do is we'll measure this out, but I'll get this glued together first, because I know between the edge of this and the edge of this is about 9 millimeters. And so we're going to do that away. So give me just a second here, and got to push a couple things out here. Okay, so here we're ready to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this on. Now, you notice it's not too tacky. It's a little bit, but it doesn't get on your fingers. So you can kind of handle it a little bit. But what I like to do is kind of get this edge lined up on this line, okay? And then hang over on this side and this side just a tad. Just a tad. And try to do it evenly if you can. Just kind of evenly lay it down on there, okay? And then kind of take a look at it before we get too crazy with it. And then let's make sure that the distances are equal. 160 should be about 164, and it is. This should be about 160. Oh, let's see, that's not 164, so let's push this up a little bit. 164 is about right there. Pretty close. Push it up just a hair more. Yep, 164. The center is 164. And this is 164. Okay. So now that we know that's 164, we can just kind of go from the center out. And the way these adhesives work is you have adhesive on both sides. And of course, it does want to try to stick to the paper a little bit, but that's okay, because that's why you get bunky paper that you don't care about. And then we'll turn it over. And you can see this is what we're going to do. And then sometimes it's good to take a roller and gently roll out. Now, I got to be careful with this, because a lot of times when I've done this and you get too close to this edge, it'll want to crease that edge and make it look crazy. So you just kind of take this and roll it back and forth. It's got that little dust on it. There we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and put that up. And then we can take our cloth, just kind of gently rub across it like this. Make sure that we're getting pressed down. Pressed down real good. Then we'll just let that dry. And I don't get too close to this edge when I'm pressing down, because if you get too close and it comes over and you press down on that, it'll want to crease that area, and then you'll see that crease on your finished product. And we really don't want that. So we really want to press down and stay on the inside of this fall here. Okay. You could leave it on this side, but then this will stick to your paper, and that's okay too. You could do it that way. That way you make sure that you're not going over, but I like to kind of flip it on both sides. So we gotta let this dry. While that's drying, this is ready to go. So this is ready to go. So we can go ahead and take this piece and put it up here. Now the thing is, when we put that down, it's going to be perfect. Get it perfect right on that edge. And a lot of times you want to take your square, put your square up there, and then make sure that you get your leather into that square real good. Look at it, make sure it's sticking up there. Now, the thing is, since there was some off-fall here, you turn this over, okay, and draw a little line here where we didn't set the glue, okay? Peel that back just shortly, like so. Because we glued this side, but we didn't glue this side.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
So, sorry about that. My automated, what's-her-face is talking. I don't know why. Didn't even say the name. So, it's done that to me before. If I have it happen again, I'll just unplug it. That way I'm not, because I don't need that going on while I'm trying to do this. So, anyway, so put that glue, drew the line, put the glue on the inside because, and we could have done it the other way, but I always like to get this glued first, then draw the line, then peel that back, and then just go ahead and put a little more glue or adhesive on there. And then let that dry, and then we know this is perfectly where we need to have it. So, with that being said, the next thing is that we're going to put this little guy here, and he's going to go about 9 millimeters up from the edge of this one, okay? So we know we're going to get about 9 millimeters, and there's two sides to this. There's a fat side and a skinny side. This fat side, we're going to be taking off about 4 millimeters, 4 to 5 millimeters off this side. And on this side, we're only going to be taking off 1 millimeter. And the reason that is because, like when you're doing Japanese style stuff, they always have you overshoot everything and then cut it to fit. That way you have less sanding. But I have other techniques that I use that I don't necessarily have to do it that way. So, one thing I do want to do, well, let's see. Yeah, it didn't get that kind of messed up there. So, let me see if I can move this a little bit. Hold on a second. Okay. Yeah, I forgot to set my video for a wider path. So, I'll get better at this, so I do apologize. Just bear with me. I just thought of it, but I will get better at this. But yeah, as I came up to look at that, I was like, why am I not seeing this whole thing in the shot? And I've seen it closer to this edge, and I was like, oh, I forgot to, because on the iPhone, you can set it for 0.5, 1, and 2. I need to set it for 0.5, which is way back, so I get a better look at a wide wider angle than the typical angle, and it gives you a better viewing angle as well. So anyway, so knowing this, we'll set that about right there where she's supposed to go, okay? And we're going to do one of these edges at a time. So setting that there, which is going to be about 9 millimeters. And I'm going to mark this dude at an angle just slightly inside of this piece. It's at an angle slightly inside of this piece. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. And we're going to do the same thing over here. Okay, now, so based on that, we know over there and there is our 2 marks. So sometimes it's hard to see, so if you want to put your finger there and there so you know where your marks are going to go, go just inside the mark there, and right before you get to the mark, stop. And then if you want to put your finger there on that mark to keep yourself from going over when you're scratching it is a good idea. That's what I used to do, because otherwise, if you don't, you leave it like this and you're scratching and you happen to go like that, you go outside the line, then you're bumming because you're like, man, I done scratched up the leather on the piece of leather that's going to be shown, and you know, it just makes for not a very professional look. And so that's another trick that I want to teach you to do, is once you put your line up there, put your finger or thumb, and that way you'll hit your finger or thumb. You know, you're not gonna hurt or stab yourself because you're scratching down anyway, but you'll hit that finger and that'll keep you inside that line. You know, and put your finger just inside that line that you did right there, just inside the line like that. And if you want to put your fingernail down so you're hitting your fingernail, that's fine too. So that way you don't take a chance on doing something crazy, going outside the lines, and then you got a big mark on your leather where you're not supposed to have it. And you get it done, and all beautiful wallet, and you got these scratches here and there, and you're like, oh my gosh. And if you're selling it, the client's, you know, wondering what he's paying for. He's like, why do I have scratches on my wallet? And you're like, yeah. No, I would never turn anything out like that. Once I realized that I did something like that, I would definitely be taking those off and punching another one of these pieces out. Yeah, I wouldn't let anything leave my shop like that. Never did. So that's one thing you'll have to figure out from your side. What you're going to accept, what you're not going to accept. I didn't accept anything less than almost pure perfection. And the only reason it was, I mean, it wasn't exactly perfect all the time, but as perfect as I could get it. And the reason is because, you know, if I knew there was a mistake, I'm going to give it a new piece, because I'm not going to go for that. So, anyway, so knowing this is about 4 millimeters over, I measured 4 millimeters in, drew a line at 4 millimeters, and I know my glue area is going to go on this side of my 4mm. And then that line is going to go right there on the edge of that leather. Okay? And then from there, it'll help us to figure out what we're doing on the other end. And I'll show you how we'll figure that out. So we'll just put a real thin layer of adhesive glue, contact cement there, okay? Let that dry a minute. While this is drying, we got a piece of glue right here. We got to keep our pieces off of that, our nice side of our pieces. So, but what we are going to do is this is going to be stitched and glued on the back side of this. And generally you want this and this pocket, when they're put together, to almost line up. And I think that's 72, if I remember, see, not 72. Let me see. I can't remember. I had it written down. Let me see if I can, while we're waiting on that. I'm going to put you on a brief hold, and I'm going to look for that piece real quick. Okay, so I'll be right back. Hold on. Okay, we're back. Yeah, so this sets at 81mm to the bottom. So what we'll do is make this 81mm. That's going to set. Yeah. Yeah, that should work. So, I think it's about 9. Trying to get my bearings here, so apologize for that. It's been a long time since I've made these. So I think we set these at 81mm. So we'll set that there at 81. Make sure this one's going to be at 81. Just going to come down to 81. And that puts this right in between those two lines. So, this is going to set about right there. And so that's going to be perfect. Okay, so I just had to double check everything. So based on that, we will go ahead and we've got to get this pocket. So we'll come up under here, make a mark, come up under here, make a mark, come up under here, make a mark, and up under here and make a mark. Okay, so we got 4 marks. We're going to draw 2 lines because we know that's where we're going to scuff this. Okay. Let's go ahead and scuff this up. Get our finger there. Get our thumb in there. Let's go ahead and get this side. Let's get this side. Okay. There we go. Empty this in the trash can here. And so see, there's things on these projects that you can be doing, like, you know, we're measuring and doing this while we're waiting on that to dry. Yeah? And so this is going to be dry. We'll make the cut there here in just a minute. I'll show you how we'll do that. So we'll go ahead and bring that down, brush that on. Go ahead and get this brushed on right here. Give our edges a little brush. Give this edge a little brush. Like so, and let that dry. Just glue up. And while that is drying, we'll go ahead and put this piece on. Now, a lot of times it's going to be easier. See, I didn't put any glue on this side, and I did that purposely because we're going to want to come in here first off. And I want to try to gently lay this on there so we know it's going to be that way. And then we've got to kind of pull this up till we get to that line that we want. And by the way, that was 8 millimeters instead of 4 millimeters. So we have to pull it up a little bit more than what we normally would have. That way it can get properly. Let's go ahead and do something like that. It's too much. There we go. So there's 8. And that is 8. Okay. We are between our 2 lines. See, that's why we didn't want to make those lines too big. And we know we're going to be about 9. Okay, so that's how that's going to look. That pretty much centers this in the center. And so on this side, we can go ahead and draw our line. So we know that this is going to be, so as we look from the bottom of this to that edge, we're at 74. So we know that's 74 from there to the edge. Okay. I guess we could have done it this way too, but just wanted to double check. Because sometimes there's a little off overhang on this side too. I think that was originally the way it was designed. And we know that we're going to have 74 on that side. And so 74, 74, we got a little mark there. I'm gonna put a little mark here. So we only had one mark, so now I'd make sure I had two. And then we're gonna go ahead and take our wing divider and draw our line. And come just short. Scuff this up so we can glue it. Yeah. So make it nice here. Same thing with the thing here. All right. Let me look at something. And then I always like to look at everything. Make sure how things are going to look. So as we put our credit card in here, it'll sit in there something like that. Yeah, that'll look good. Okay. And then this credit card is going to obviously fit up in there like so. Okay. So just put a little bit of adhesive. I'm hoping still in the shot here. Yeah, let's make sure we get back in the shot here and stay in this shot. Apologize for that all over the board. I will get better as time goes on, I promise. It's really kind of difficult to work and talk and think about what you're going to say and doing this, that, and the other, and trying to pay attention and trying to make sure that you're getting everything done right. It's definitely different than just building it. So now that we're waiting on that to dry, we'll bring back this. And we know that was 81. So we'll go ahead and put our ruler at 81 on the dot. We'll set this down right there on the edge to 81. Press that down. Get that pressed down. Double check it on this end. Yep, it's lined up good. Okay. Press that down. Then we'll want to line this up at 81. So put that at 81 right there on that dot. Push this down. Flatten that out. that's good. Now that's a little trick. So if you notice that your pocket is just a tiny bit shy of this edge, and you've already kind of stuck it down, but you haven't really stuck it hard, you can take it back like this and put your fingers and push down, and then make like a little ripple, and then push that air bubble out, like pushing an air bubble out. And as you do that, it will actually push this piece further out. It'll make this a little more flat. So you don't want to do it too much, and you don't want to get this too flat, because then you won't. You want to leave enough that when you put something in it, it has room to bend here. Leather will stretch and it will bend, but you've also got to leave it a little bit of room in there. So sometimes if this is cut just a shy, 1/64 longer than this piece, it's okay, because you can always back this piece, this pocket, up this way and go ahead and stick it down even with the edge, and leave a little buckle, if you will, in here. Okay, not much, just a little one, because eventually once you stitch that down and you stitch that down, that the buckle will kind of fall into place. But then what it will do is you start putting your cards in there, it'll allow this to expand, pop up a little bit on this edge, and you'll be able to have a little bit more room without putting a couple cards in there and being so tight you can't get them out. That's always annoying. So anyway, so this goes on the back piece here, and then normally if this is not level here, you would sand it. But since we're pretty level here, we can go ahead and draw our line and draw our line here gently, so that we don't put too much of a mark on the outside here. This is going to get stitched, and then draw our line up this way, because that's going to get stitched. Okay, and this will get stitched before these marry together. So while we're waiting on this to dry now, come back to this piece and see. So sometimes making pieces like this is really kind of cool, because you're bouncing back and forth, and in the end what you're doing is you're waiting for everything to dry, because once it dries, then you can move on to the next piece, right? And then go ahead and flatten that down, flatten this down, flatten that down like that. Pull this over and pull it down. And so there's about a 1 millimeter section there. And you can see this is not exactly straight, even though we cut it straight, because we put this on a little crooked. That's why they allow overhang on each side. I mean, you won't see it from this side. You won't see that that is just a little bit crooked. It'll look okay. But that's why when you're doing Japanese wallets, they always make them longer in those areas, so that you have a little bit of shifting that you can do. Okay? And so while that's drying, we'll go ahead and remove this, because what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and cut this off. But I'm going to be doing that in the next video. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and pop me some comments down there on what you want to see next. I've got a couple ideas, but I really want to hear from you folks. Okay? Because I want to make it our channel. So, I'll see you in a leather minute. Take care.